The Housemaid, well, I might be being unfair, and I've really tried to think about how to be more charitable about this film on my way home from seeing it. But I thought it was genuinely bad. It was so bad, I was actually quite embarrassed that other people were in the cinema with me and could see that I was watching it. But then I realised other people were feeling that because there was eyes were being caught literally during this film, and we were giggling. And that shouldn't really happen in a racking film about domestic violence, which I think as a subject was really degraded actually by this film. And I wonder if Paul Feig is struggling with the tone because his history is in making brilliant comedies. And some of that skill carries through, like his skill with the camera, which is very real. It looks great, the movie. But also, what carries through is the sense that everyone knows that they're acting in a genre piece and are kind of rebelling against the conventions, but also complying. Now, that's kind of cute when it's a romantic comedy, but it's kind of horrifying when it's a psychological thriller about manipulation and abuse. And it would work if there were any sort of surprising twists, but to be honest with you, I'm not going to give any spoilers in this, partly because I think the film will spoil itself, but you know from the beginning which characters are for real and which are fake, because there are just red flashing lights everywhere saying it. Like, just ask yourself who seems for real and who seems fake, and then that gives you all the answers you need. And I just I think if you're going to go for a plot based film, you have to really commit to the plot, not find it to be a bit silly. And if you're going to go for a meta drama, you have to have something interesting to say. I can imagine that in the actual story, in the original novel, that some of the slightly heavy plot points and twists are handled through character and voice, which you can really do on the page. You could have a central character's voice, here reduced to slightly clunky voiceover, actually carry you through. Like, she's Sydney Sweeney's character is writing a diary, and I was thinking, yeah, that would be a really good device on the page. It just hasn't translated very well to the screen, and again, it's used in one scene that she's writing a diary, and then it's just dropped. So we never really get a sense of her character. And she's the protagonist. She arrives in this house where at first everything seems perfect, but guess what? It isn't. The wife seems to be crazy, and the husband is idyllically gorgeous, and she's kind of falling for him already. This kind of thing was handled really well in films in the 90s, where they just did it with more confidence. Like Basic Instinct, or going back a bit earlier, Fatal Attraction, they really just go for it. With all the problems that those films might have, they are committed to what they're trying to do. They think, what I mean by that is they think human beings are interesting enough to make psychological dramas about. I'm not sure this film does think that. I think this film thinks it's telling a good yarn, but then in order to borrow back some seriousness about halfway through, it just moves into graphic physical violence. And I think that's a real tonal instability. And I think it comes from Hollywood not knowing how to make a serious thriller now. That's become an art house thing. If anything, those energies have moved slightly into horror. And I'm not really seeing it in this film. It doesn't have the certainty, the coherence of those 90s films. I don't think you can do a genre piece like this without really believing in the genre and the characters, and that's where I think this film fell down. I will say that Amanda Seyfried gives an amazing performance. She tears through this mediocre material like it's Bergman, and I take my hat off to her for that. Millennial icon swooping in to save the day. Sydney Sweeney looks really hapless, as though she's drafting an email in her head to her agent complaining about what's happened to her career, which, to be honest, she may have been. I like Sydney Sweeney as an actress. I'm not sure what her political views are, but if she's really a fascist, then this film was her karma.